You are Locked On Giants Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Bay Area, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR. And today, the San Francisco Giants won their first series of the 2024 season on the strength of a strong start from Logan Webb, a dominant bullpen outing, and a lucky break in the form of a critical Padres error, and of course, timely hitting late in the game from your big free agency pickups. Woo, baby, that feels great. This win just feels great. We'll break it all down, but first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports Bay Area YouTube channel. If you aren't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button right now. And if you're listening to us on the Locked On Giants podcast feed, appreciate you tuning in there. However you're getting the show, we appreciate you. And make sure to check out the Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage with Ben Kaspick. He does a really good job. And today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedonmlb and use code all lowercase lockedonmlb for a first deposit match up to $100. Classic Logan Webb outing in this one. I mean, what more can you say from him? He righted the ship after really not showing so well in his last outing. Remember, before this one, his last time we saw Logan Webb was down in Los Angeles against the Dodgers, and he couldn't get out of the fourth inning and gave up 5 runs on 7 hits. Was walking some guys this season. Today, I should say, Logan Webb, phenomenal on the hill. He limits the Padres to just 2 runs, scatters 10 hits over 7 innings of work. He pitched pretty well. This looked like the Logan Webb of old. He got a ton of ground ball outs in this one, right back to where he used to be. And the Giants really took advantage of that. You know, the Padres got on the board early in this one. It's kind of typical of Logan Webb throughout his career. If you've paid attention, he gives up a lot of runs. He doesn't give up a lot of runs, but of the runs he does give up, a lot of them are in that first inning. And the Padres jumped all over him today in this one. Jake Cronenworth double scored Fernando Tatis in the first, and the Padres were on the board right away. The Giants had an opportunity in the bottom of the first. Soler double, couldn't score Jung-Hoo Lee from first base, and Conforto then, but the runners still had runners in scoring position, less than 2 outs, but a Conforto pop up and a Chapman pop out to right with runners on second and third results in no runs. You hate that. I know all my Giants fans, myself included, we hate seeing runners at second and third with less than 2 outs because for some reason the Giants have just been historically so bad at scoring these runs. Today in the first inning, looked like Logan Webb was going to get, check out over my right shoulder, Matt Cained again. And thankfully he kind of did essentially, but the bats woke up late in this one to pick him up. And this one was tough for the Giants. They were dealing with a knuckleballer on the mound today, a 27-year-old rookie right-hander from the Padres, Matt Waldren, and he pitched pretty well. Waldren, not a ton of dominant stuff. The knuckleball was moving today. It was moving all over the place, but that four-seamer sits right around 92. He located it pretty well throughout this one, and he lasted 5 1/3, 3 hits. And he was charged with a run. He left when it was still 2-0, but he did leave a run on base, and the Giants ended up scoring in this one. So that was good. That bottom 6th, interestingly enough, started because Ha Seong Kim had an error to start that inning. Lamont Wade single. Michael Conforto walks after, bases loaded for Matt Chapman, and he gets a high chopper to short and gets a run across. And that was really important for the Giants. They just needed to scratch a run, do something, get a runner to touch home plate. That's all they needed. It was the first run in 14 2/3 innings for the Giants. And then, of course, the following at bat was a little disappointing. More runners left on base for the Giants in scoring position. Tyro Estrada up there, who has not been very locked in at the dish so far this season, swung and missed at 2 sliders that were not close to the strike zone, especially that strike 3 was, I don't think that pitch even started in the strike zone. and it finished like the catcher had to Campusano had to dive to catch that ball. I'm surprised that wasn't a pass ball. So tough look for Estrada at the plate. You're kind of starting to think, are they going to lose another series? We're going to go 3 series without the Giants winning a game in this one. Webb comes out after the 7th inning, 85 pitches, 61 strikes, 29 batters faced. He did a pretty good job. We'll break down a little bit more of Webby's day a little bit later in the show. Padres obviously were in the bullpen at that point as well. And Brito came in after the Giants saw 2 guys in Yuki Matsui and Stephen Kolek earlier in the game, who they've seen a ton this season. Brito comes in had a tough time with this Giants lineup. Flores singled and got the ball rolling, and Soler then hit a shallow fly to right field. Tyler Fitzgerald, who was pinch running for Wilmer Flores, made a huge play in this one, going first to third on that Soler flare to right field. And remember, Tatis is out there and right with a cannon, and he fired away to third base and looked like he might have had a chance to get Fitzgerald there. Fitzgerald got a little bit of a late jump on that ball, not knowing if it was going to be caught or not in the outfield. And I thought by the time that Tatis got to the ball and actually went to throw, that Fitzgerald was going to get into third fairly easily. And no, that cannon that Tatis has made that play at third a lot closer than was comfortable for Giants fans. Thankfully, third base bobbled it. I'm not sure that Fitzgerald would have been safe. It would have been a bang play if third base had held onto that ball. It would have been really close. He might have been in there under the tag, but that first to third was very impressive for Tyler Fitzgerald. So a good moment for him to rebound from some tough moments earlier in the season. You remember that error at shortstop to start one of those games in Los Angeles. So great to see Fitzgerald staying aggressive and trying to stay ready. I caught a little bit of his interview in the post game, and he said basically he's always going downstairs to run during the game. And about the 4th inning, he goes down and gets loose again for after warmups and stuff. He stays ready during the game, which is I found kind of interesting, because I always wondered how you can just come off the bench and get in a sprinter's mentality when you don't even have any time to warm up. You might get a couple seconds heads up from your coach and start doing some stretches in the dugout, but you're not going to be able to really warm those legs up. So interesting to know that he does do some work during the game to stay ready for these pinch running situations. So that's kind of interesting, I thought. And so anyways, Fitzgerald scores on the next play because there is a sharp ground ball. Conforto hits one to first base to Cronenworth. Cronenworth steps on first to get the second out of the inning, fires to short or to second base, where Ha Seong Kim, the shortstop, was covering to try and get a double play to get out of the inning, and the ball squirts out of Ha Seong Kim's glove as he goes to tag Jorge Soler and squirts into the outfield. And the Giants were gifted that second run. The baseball gods shined today on San Francisco, and the Giants scored that tying run there, and you felt like they had something going maybe. And Chapman comes up right after that, another runner in scoring position with 2 outs. And I thought this, the way things have been going, we might get disappointed a third time in this one. And instead, Chapman singles and scores Jorge Soler. Giants take the 3-2 lead, and Camilo Doval, one day after his bobblehead giveaway, where we didn't get to see him, unfortunately, comes in and looks dominant. Strikes out the side. Jackson Merrill did squeak a ground ball past second base into right field, but man, 3 strikeouts from Doval. His stuff looked so good. It picks up the save, and his 70th career save. I believe that is Doval's first save of the season, if I'm correct. And I just want everyone to do this with me. If you got your Camilo Doval bobblehead yesterday, you got the one with the saves counter here. Let's go ahead and move this to 70 from 69. Nice. To 70. Yeah, let's go, Camilo. So Giants pick up a win. They are now 4-6 on the season. Their 3-2 victory means that they've won their first series after splitting with the Padres in the first series of the season and then going down to LA and get swept. It is really refreshing for this team to come back and win 2 out of 3 at home. Their first 2 out of 3 opening series at Oracle Park concludes with a series victory, and you get a walk-off win in game 1 in the first home opener of the series of the year of the 2024 season. What more can you want from a Giants homestand, man? I mean, it's been great. Today was absolutely picture perfect day in San Francisco. Some white puffy clouds, a little bit warmer than it's been, and not nearly as windy. It looked nice out there. I wish I could have gotten out to the yard today too, but it was a beautiful day for baseball. Giants got a win. And Logan Webb back to his old self. We'll break that down a little bit more on the other side. The Doval dominance in the ninth inning. We got to talk about this bullpen a little bit more. I'm really excited about it. Kind of seems like the vibes have switched from the beginning of the season, where we're kind of, wondering when the bullpen was going to shape up and wondering when these bats were ever going to cool off, if they ever were. And lo and behold, the narrative's now flipped completely upside down. We're excited about the bullpen and kind of nervous about these bats, especially with runners in scoring position. But we'll get into the bullpen discussion a little bit later. On the other side, Logan Webb, we got to talk about his big day today on the Hill. You are watching the Locked On Giants Postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and we will be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Spring training is over and baseball season is officially underway. Don't miss your chance to add your favorite players from the diamond in your PrizePicks entries. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your PrizePicks entry today. PrizePicks has something for every sports fan, from baseball and basketball to League of Legends and everything in between. You can pick LeBron James, Jung-Hoo Lee, Connor McDavid, and even Jude Bellingham, all in the same entry. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for first deposit match up to $100. It's PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Just taking a quick peek at the chat there. And Luciano and Matos need to be here. I don't know about Luciano yet, man. I think Luciano needs a little bit more time to really find himself at the plate. I think that he seems to need confidence. He seems to be a guy who really rides hot streaks, and I want him on a heater before he comes up. Matos, on the other hand, we talked about that last night. I'll say it again. I think it's time to see him. Mike Yastrzemski, 2 looking strikeouts again tonight. It's tough, man. It's tough when you have guys at the bottom of the order that you can just chalk up as easy outs, essentially, or your opponent is essentially has that in their brain. It gives opposing pitchers and defenses confidence that you're just going to blow through these innings with minimal work. And that's really bad for your team. That's really, really bad when your opponent is riding with that much confidence against you. And right now, Nick Ahmed, Mike Yastrzemski, Tyro Estrada, the not hitting very well. Pat Bailey went over tonight, but I'm not going to lump him in with them, as Bailey's been, the up and down this year. But I think we've seen a lot more from Pat Bailey at the plate this season than we have from any of those other guys. So Mike Yastrzemski, I'm not saying so long, see you later, goodbye, but he's still they still need him on the team. It's tough to just force Matos in there right away, but you have concerns about the defense, but it is, I think, essentially something you need. You need a young spark on this team. We talked about this at length in last night's postcast. So if you were curious about more about that, check out that one as well. But we need to get into Logan Webb, man. He pitched so well today. And I know he gave up 10 hits. I'm aware. I can read the box score too. But he scattered them. That is what Logan Webb does so well. He stranded runners in so many different innings today. He scattered hits all across. And every time he was in trouble, in jeopardy, every time he had runners in scoring positions. I mean, how many times did he have runners on the corners and he worked out of the jam with either giving up 1 or 0 runs? Like, he did this all day long, a bunch of double plays to end innings with runners in scoring position. Webb was Webb. This is what we've come to expect from Logan Webb, one of the best ground ball pitchers in the league. 12 ground outs today. He was filling up the strike zone early on. He seemed to be a little shaky towards the end of his start there. He ended up throwing 61 strikes on 85 pitches, faced 29 batters, only 3 strikeouts. But that Logan Webb's game isn't strikeouts. When he's on, he does have strikeout stuff. That sinker's pretty nasty. The changeup, when it's working, is good. In this one, he using that sinker to get a lot of ground ball outs. Again, 12 ground outs, only 2 earned runs on 10 hits. This is a phenomenal job of dancing around runners on base, runners in scoring position. Logan Webb on his own stranded 6 Padres and limited them to 2 for 10 with runners in scoring position. That's great. That's great. You'll take that. It's ace stuff, man. That's what we have all come to expect from the killer whale, Logan Webb himself. Shout out to you if you know that reference for Logan Webb's walk-up song. But it's amazing. I love watching Webb on the mound. Webby days are some of my all-time favorite games to watch. The pace that he pitches with just makes the game so entertaining and so fun to watch. He's constantly making, it's just better to watch a game with balls in play and a guy who's not taken 10 years to pitch in between each pitch, and he's not walking around the mound in between each batter. Like this, I know the pitch clock has more or less resolved a lot of these issues, but Logan Webb don't need a pitch clock, man. Like he's working way faster than that clock. So this one was fun. Again, pretty quick game time in this one. And that's what you'll get in a Logan Webb start. And he just needs more run support, man. He really does. He's still searching for that win this season. He still hasn't picked up that first win. It's going to be tough to see when that comes for Logan Webb, because it seems like this offense just doesn't want to give him any run support. I mean, last year he was sort of in the Cy Young discussion with like a 500 record. And it just goes to show you how little wins matter in baseball as like a stat, and how little weight people put into that anymore. So it's just interesting to see Webb sort of get the Matt Cain treatment. It's the same stuff that we've become used to over the years. I mean, the same kind of pitcher, ground ball guy who can reach back and get you some Ks when he needs it. Cain was the ace of this staff for a while in different years. It was a 1A and 1B thing with him and Timmy a lot of the time. You guys know this, but Logan Webb doing what he does, man, out there on the hill. And it's so nice to have a guy give the bullpen a little bit of a rest, because Giants starters haven't been super great this season and have been the bullpen's getting a lot of work. I feel like we're seeing at least 3 different arms every day. Mostly today, you only have to pitch 2 guys, and one of them was Camilo Doval, who pitched great. We'll break that down a little bit more in this later on in the show. But how great is it, man, to have a workhorse like Logan Webb that can just carry your team into the second half of a game, into the last third of a game, and not have to completely gas out your bullpen. And Keaton Wynn also pitched a little bit longer than he usually does, a little deeper in games, a little deeper in the one yesterday than he usually lasts. So that was great, because that gave the bullpen a little bit more rest too. So your bullpen seems to be trending in the right direction with how they're pitching on the mound, plus all the rest that they're getting now. This sets them up very well going into the series against the Nationals, which starts tomorrow. By the way, I know I've been waiting for it. I know you've all been waiting for it. Blake Snell. I kind of wish we could have seen him today against the Padres, but the Giants want to slot him in after Logan Webb to get him into that spot in the rotation where he's going to be, where they want him pitching. They want him to be the number 2 guy on this staff right after Logan Webb. And that's why he's starting tomorrow against the Washington Nationals. I'm hyped, man. The Snellzilla on the hill for the first time in a game in those cream unis. It's going to be a good one. A 6:45 start. Make sure you get out to the yard for that one if you can, or otherwise tune in. Make sure you tune in to Locked On Giants Postcast afterward. It's really nice, man, to have this luxury of this pitching staff, and it's only going to get better. I mean, we got to mention Alex Cobb is going to come back sometime in May. The Giants are going to be able to get Robbie Ray back at some point this season. Tristan Beck is going to be an option later on. The Giants have so many starting pitching options, plus all these young guys down in the farm system. Carson Wisenhunt, he's going to come up eventually. Mason Black, he looks pretty good. And the way that some of these bullpen arms are pitching, Landon Roop, he looks like he might force himself into the starting rotation at some point. These bullpen arms have been electric, these young arms, and the Giants just have so many pieces right now, so many pieces in their pitching staff. It's like a big puzzle. They just got to fit it all together to figure out how to get a win. And they have a lot of things going for them. And We got to break down the bullpen a little bit more on the other side. We'll take a quick break in this one on the Locked On Giants Postcast. Stick with us. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We got to break down this Camilo Doval dominance today, and this bullpen who's sitting pretty after a kind of a rocky start in the first series of this season. Now looks pretty dominant, man. Pretty dominant. So stick with us in this one. We'll be right back on the Locked On Giants Postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and stick with us. We'll be right back. Today's show is sponsored by Gametime. Gametime is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even easier and faster. Prices on the Gametime app will actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Gametime takes all the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. I love those last-minute deals where you can save up to 60% buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, whatever you're into, they got it. Zone deals are pretty sweet too. If you know where you want to sit in the yard, like you want to go out to Oracle and see the Giants, you want to sit maybe on the right field wall, or maybe you want to get rowdy out in those left field bleachers. I went and sat down first baseline the other night and sat right next to Jung-Hoo Lee's family. That was pretty cool. So maybe you want to roll the dice and see if you want to sit down the first baseline. Maybe you'll sit next to them too. So where you pick a section, and let Gametime do the rest. They'll give you a discount even if you just choose the section and let them pick the seats. Save even more money. And of course, you got to love the all-in pricing. Make sure to toggle this feature on to show the upfront total with no surprise fees at checkout. I hate those surprise fees at checkout. Not much as I hate the Dodgers, but surprise fees close second, man. And I hate those. So I love this feature. Take all the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. For a limited time, all users can get $20 off any MLB purchase of $150 or more in the Gametime app with code FIRSTPITCH. Terms apply. That's code FIRSTPITCH for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I am your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and today the Giants 3-2 win over the San Diego Padres out at BEA. Beautiful Oracle Park. A nice sunny day in San Francisco. A couple of puffy clouds out in the sky. Beautiful day out here in the Bay Area. And a beautiful day for a Giants win. It's always a beautiful day for a Giants win. And it's so fun watching Camilo Doval pitch, man. Like, he is just electric out there. How lucky are we that we get to see him continue this lineage of Giants closers? We have been so spoiled. Like, the Giants have had their rough spots as an organization with the product on the field over my lifetime. I'm 30. So I've been a Giants fan since I was born. I didn't have a choice. I've said this on the podcast before, but my first clothing I was ever put in as a human was a Giants onesie. My first stuffed animal was a Giants teddy bear that I still actually have to this day. It's like the one thing that I keep like that. It's kind of funny. Anyways, they've been up and down. Offense sometimes lacks, defense sometimes lacks. The one thing I feel like the Giants have more or less always had, with the exception of Armando Benitez, is a really, really good, phenomenal closer. I mean, even in those awkward, weird years, you still had like a Will Smith who was like pretty good. He was an all-star a couple times, but I mean, let's talk about it. Brian Wilson, Sergio Romo, Rob Nen, like all these guys span several years of Giants pitching in my lifetime. Like, these were so fun to come out and watch. And there's so many teams that struggle on the back half of their bullpen. Giants have never really been one of those teams in my lifetime, at least not for any consistent period of time. And now they have Camilo Doval, who is one of my favorite players on the Giants. I talked about him a lot on the podcast yesterday, and it was Camilo Doval bobblehead day yesterday. I hope you were able to get out to the yard and grab one of those. It was so fun to watch him on the hill today. His stuff is dominant. And we said, after he had some rough outings earlier this season, we were like, pump the brakes. Don't freak out. It's Camilo Doval. That's pretty much all you need to say. Number 75 is gonna figure it out. He is so cool and calm and collected. I feel like every time you see him, it's got like the same cadence to everything he does. He, like, that jog out from the bullpen to the mound isn't fast, but it isn't slow. Even when he's working out, you saw it today, he's working out there on the mound. You don't care if he got runners on base. He's doing things at his own pace. And let me tell you, that is so quintessentially Dominican of him to just move at his own pace, regardless of anybody else, and just beat to the beat of his own drum. That is so like quintessentially Dominican. If you know Dominican culture, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This guy he's on his own rhythm. He's on his own timing, and he's just so chill, tranquilo, as he would say. And he's just cruising up there. He's cruising up there. I mean, his stuff is dominant. His slider, so nasty. And then of course, fastball getting up into triple digits. Sometimes he can reach back and grab that if he needs it, but lives right around 98 most of the time. But everything's got movement, man. Everything's got movement. And it is such a luxury to have someone like this at the back end of your staff. And the way that the rest of this bullpen has been pitching, this might be the best bullpen in baseball. We might be talking about that at the end of this season with all of these guys that seem to be clicking. We got Avila. We got a Roop that we just mentioned earlier. All of the Giants pitchers have been very efficient out of the bullpen so far. Eric Miller has showed some good signs. There were a couple of rocky innings in the very, very beginning of the season. You'd expect that from some young arms that are making their first appearances in the big leagues. Some guys even skipping over AAA and going right from Richmond to the big league club. So you kind of expect that, and they look to be settling in so nicely right now. So nicely. Walker pitched great again tonight. I feel like we haven't talked much about Ryan Walker this year. He didn't show up tonight. Another scoreless inning for him. He's pitched really great this season as well. All of these arms on the Giants seem to be working. They seem to all have a role. No one really seems to care what position, when they're coming in the game. They're just all locked in every time. You saw Rogers strike out a guy on a ball that hit the batter in the face the other day. I mean, that's pretty solid. I think if your stuff is working that good that you can strike a guy out on a ball that hits him square between the eyes, that's pretty good, man. So again, this bullpen is so dominant, and it is the luxury of having Camilo Doval on the back end of it that allows you to have so much flexibility with everything else you're doing, because you're not stressing out trying to find your closer in this sea of guys, trying to see who separates. You know who this is. Every single year, Camilo Doval, ninth inning, that's his house. That's where he lives. You don't get to go there. And so that is Camilo Doval's property exclusively. And you can just kind of figure out the rest of it. All you really need to figure out, who's your setup guy? Figure out your lefty-righty splits. There you go. And that makes life for a coaching staff so much easier. And if you don't think that that's kind of setting the tone for the rest of the pitching staff in the bullpen, then you're wrong. I hate to tell you this, but that trickles down very much so. When you have a guy like Doval who's that dominant, it makes everybody else, like, all these guys are competitors. They're all professional athletes. Every single guy is going to want to, they're not just going to say, oh, it's Camilo's job, whatever. They're going to try and compete with him. They're going to try and push themselves to get on his level and give him a run for his money for that job. Not that anyone's really going to take this job from Camilo Doval. I think we all know that. But point being, he is going to make everybody else better just by being himself. And man, is that something that I think we take for granted a lot with the Giants that we have for the years. We all complain and bitch and moan about the lack of hitting with runners in scoring position, about all the Giants baseball torture moments that we've had through the years. I think we need to give some credit to the luxury that we've had of these dominant closers. And yes, I know Brian Wilson kind of added to that torture a lot of the times by loading the bases up before he'd strike out three guys in a row. But he got the job done. He was still dominant. You knew that he was going to be dominant when he was in games. And that is the same thing that Doval is able to do for the Giants this year and in previous years. It's the same thing that we got from a Sergio Romo, from a Brian Wilson, from a Rob Nen, not Armando Benitez. Man, that guy frustrates me so much. Probably one of the most frustrating Giants, I think, in my lifetime. I hated that signing, man. It just still bugs me to this day, however many years later it's been. Man, Armando Benitez really, sometimes in life you're going to get boned, and the Giants got boned in that Armando Benitez signing. So that's about all the time that we have for today. Camilo Doval, phenomenal outing. Logan Webb, great outing. Giants timely hitting. Matt Chapman coming through driving in a couple runs in this one with that chopper to short. And of course, driving in Soler for that go ahead run after that big error by Ha Seong Kim at second base that allowed Tyler Fitzgerald to score and tie the game in the first place. Great game, fun win, first series win of the Giants 2024 MLB season, first series win at Oracle Park. Great time out, man. Good Sunday. What more do you want? And to give you guys even one more little piece of goodness today before we get out of here, we got a second show. We're going to be doing Locked On Warriors Postcast in just a couple hours. So if you're looking for something to do on the back half of your Sunday, we got you covered, man. Tune into the Warriors game. Check us out on Locked On Warriors Postcast right afterwards. That game starts in just about an hour and a half, 5:30 tip for the Warriors tonight. So tune in, Locked On Warriors Postcast afterwards. And if you don't have time to check that out, then make sure you check us out tomorrow after Giants take on the Nationals. Blake Snell debut. We'll break it down. Hopefully we can wrangle Ben Kaspick to join us on that one. And one more last thing. Paulie McCaffrey. I'm so happy about it. If you watch it on the stream, you can see the smile about to just like engulf my entire face because I am so happy to have Paulie Mac on the show Wednesday. Don't miss it. You're not going to want to miss that one. So tune in later today, tune in tomorrow, and tune in Wednesday. Tune in every day to Locked On Postcast, Locked On Sports Bay Area, and Locked On Giants Postcast, Locked On Warriors Postcast. Thanks for sticking with us in this one. Again, Giants win 3-2 over the Padres at Oracle Park. Big win. Great day for Webby. Great day for Doval. Great day for Giants baseball. That's about all the time we have in this one. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Peace.